Hi guys, today I'm gonna show you how to create a cocktail in Blender and we're gonna render it in EEVEE, so you're gonna see how to create a glass material that is perfect for EEVEE. So first of all, I'm gonna create a cylinder. So I press Shift A and I select cylinder with 32 vertices. It's fine. And now I go into edit mode by pressing Tab, and first of all I'm gonna delete this face up here. So I delete it. Okay. And now I go into edit mode and I'm gonna use the editing tools to shape it and make it look like a real glass. First of all, we're gonna insert this face here and then extrude it by pressing E. To create the stem of the glass. And then I'm gonna extrude it again. So I press E again and then scale it to make the base of the glass like this. This is the base of our model, but now I'm gonna add more details. Okay, now I'm gonna press with the right mouse button and choose Shade Smooth. But also I think we need more details, so I'm gonna add a new subdivision surface modifier. And I think it works really well, so we can leave it like this for now. Okay, now we need to add a thickness to our glass. So I'm gonna select the solidify modifier and I'm gonna increase the amount of thickness until we have something like this. But first of all, I'm gonna apply all transform by pressing Ctrl A, just in case my transforms are affecting my modifiers, but I think that it's fine like this for now. So we have our glass for the cocktail. Now we just need to do the liquid inside and also the ice cubes. So let's go on and add a new cylinder, which is gonna be the liquid inside of our glass. I'm gonna shape it very quickly until it matches the shape of my glass. Okay, we can leave it like this for now, but later when we add the material and the lights, we're gonna add some ripples here on our liquid, so it looks more realistic, but for now it's fine like this. And the last thing to do is adding the ice cubes. So I just press Shift A, I select a cube and scale it. And the only thing we need to do is select all the edges like this, and then press Ctrl B to activate the bevel. Now here in this menu I'm gonna select no, I think 2 segments is fine enough. Let's choose again Shades Mode, clicking with the right mouse button. And here it is, our ice cube. Now we have all the elements that we need for now. I'm probably gonna add some decoration to the cocktail later, but for now the 3D model is completed and we can skip to the materials and lighting part. Okay, first of all, let's see my render settings. So this is gonna be rendered in EEVEE, and I'm gonna enable ambient occlusion, blue, but I'm also gonna increase the threshold a bit. And also I'm gonna enable screen space reflection, this is very important, and also enable refraction. For the glass material, this is very important. Okay, these are the render settings, and now let's see what we have here. First of all, I just added a simple plane, which is gonna be our background, and I created a material for it. I choose the blue color, and I simply removed the specularity, because I don't want any reflection in it. Also, I changed a little the color of my word, because I chose this color code, and I increased the strength. Okay. Now let's see these 4 lights that I added here. We're gonna add a lot more, but these are just the lights that I added now, because you can't actually see the material that I'm gonna create without adding some lights. So first of all, here is our model, and we are gonna look at it from the camera, which is here. In front of the model, I added here this super big area light with this power and this color code. Always remember to enable context shadows. Okay. Now we have this area light here that illuminates the glass from behind. This is the power that I used, and in this case I just used a white color. Then to illuminate the whole scene, I just added a sun with 3 points of strength. And this small area light here, I just use it to illuminate a little the background. So let's start with the glass. I add a new material, and we go into shading viewport. Okay. Okay, in case you don't know how to add new nodes in a material, you can just press Shift A and search the node that you need. First of all, we're gonna add a transparent BSDF here. And since we're gonna mix the default principal BSDF with this transparent BSDF, I'm also gonna add a mix shader. And I place it here. He automatically connects this one with this slot here, and we can connect the transparent BSDF to the other slot. So first of all here, let's bring the roughness to something very, very low, something like this. And we can bring the specularity a little more higher. Also, we need to bring the transmission to 1, and we can leave the IOR, the index of refraction, to this value by default. Okay. Now I'm gonna add a new node, which is the Fresnel, and also a color. No, 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 and also a color ramp. Okay, we're gonna use the Fresnel as a factor for our mix shader. So first of all, we connect it to the color ramp, and then we connect the color ramp to this. But here, we're not gonna leave this color here like black, but we're gonna move it to something more, yeah, something like this, a gray color. Okay. Now the last thing to do is go here in the properties of the material here in this panel, and go here and choose Alpha Blend. Also enable screen space refraction, and that's it. We have our glass material. Okay, now let's create a cool material for our liquid. So I select it, and here I choose a new slot, new material. Now, I think I'm gonna use a gradient for this one, like red becoming yellow, something like this. But first of all, I think we need to adjust the shape here because it's strangely, yeah, it doesn't look really good, so I just added a few edges. And also, let's just isolate it for a bit. Also, we need to add shades mode to this one too. And I'm also gonna add a subdivision surface modifier. Okay. And insert this face here just so that it doesn't do these strange things here. Okay. Okay, now we have our smooth liquid and we can go back to what we were doing. So I select it, and first of all I'm gonna choose a color ramp, a texture coordinate node, and a mapping node. Okay, first of all I connect the color ramp to the base color because this is gonna be actually our base color. Okay. For now we don't see any gradients, so we need to use these two nodes to move the gradient until it looks like we want it. So I connect the mapping node here and the object here. Okay, now we can see a more defined gradient, and we just need to rotate it. Okay, perfect. Now we can choose better colors. So this one is gonna be yellow. And this one is gonna become red. Yes, perfect. Now let's change some settings here. So no roughness because it's liquid. Okay. And we can add another node, which is emission. We're gonna use a very low emission to give it a more bright color. So we add a new mix shader here, and we connect the emission node with 1 point of strength to here. But also we need to connect this color ramp, which is the color information, to the color of the emission so it doesn't look all white. Okay, and now let's change the factor here to 0.3. Okay, now we're gonna do the ice cube material. So I select it and I create a new slot. Okay, for this one, we're gonna first of all change the settings on the principal BSDF. So as always, I reduce a lot the roughness. Okay, and then I bring transmission to 1. And also I'm gonna change the IOR in this case to 2.5. Now I'm gonna duplicate this node with Shift D, and I'm gonna add a mix shader to mix these two. But in this case, I'm gonna bring the transmission to 0. And here in the factor, I'm gonna choose something very, very small, like 0.075. Okay, this is just the only meaning of this is adding some white color to it, even if it's really, really subtle. Okay, now here in the material parameters, we just leave it all like this, but I'm gonna select screen space refraction. This is the material of our cube, but it's gonna look way better once we add more lights in our scene. And now we're ready. We can go on adding more lights and more details and decoration to our cocktail. Okay, first of all, I'm gonna add a lot more lights and especially point lights to illuminate better our 3D model and create small reflections. So I add a new point light and I'm gonna start moving it here. And create a lot more lights, and every time change the power or the radius. I'm gonna usually change between point lights with a bigger radius and point lights with small radius to create small reflections like this one. I added this new area light to create bigger reflection on my glass, and you can also change the shape type to something like ellipse in case you want an elliptic reflection. But I think I'm gonna leave it like this, like a square, or you can also choose rectangle. And also choose the dimension on the X and Y axis. I'm quite satisfied with how it looks for now, and so we can skip to creating the ripples in the liquid. Do you remember that I told you that it's not gonna be a flat surface here, but we can select one of these edge loops here, like this, okay, and move it up, deselect the proportional editing, and move it up like this. We can also add new ones. Okay, now we can go on and duplicate the ice cubes, make it bigger or smaller, it depends. Okay, now let's go on with the decorations. I'm gonna use a drinking straw. I'm gonna create a drinking straw, so I just create another cylinder here. I scale it and place it here. Always choose shade smooth. We can already assign a simple black material to it. Something like this. Small roughness. Obviously, delete this face here. And just scale it on the z-axis like this and rotate it. Okay, now I'm gonna create the mint leaf by using a simple plane. Okay, and I'm gonna first of all I'm gonna shape it and make it look more like a leaf. So I scale these vertices like this. Okay, now we can add a subdivision surface modifier and apply it to have more vertices like this. And I think I'm gonna select all these vertices here and scale them to create the serrated margins of the mint leaf. So I'm gonna scale them like this. Okay, it looks more like a star now, but we're gonna add a new subdivision surface modifier. Okay, and now it looks better. Now we can just select these vertices here in the middle and move them down a bit. Okay, now we can position it in our cocktail. Also, I think I'm gonna curve it a little with proportional editing enabled. I'm gonna move it like this. Okay. And let's create the right shader for it. So I go here, create a new material. Choose a green color. Okay, the problem here is the specularity. We're gonna add a texture to our specular value to create, some little variation in the roughness and specularity. So I'm gonna use a noise texture, yeah, and connect it to the specularity of the principal BSDF node. Let's see what is happening. Okay, let's increase the scale like this, and also change the roughness. I think it's better to change the color a bit. Okay, now I want to change a little the color of the mint, so we're gonna use a color ramp. and of course a texture coordinate node and the mapping to direct our gradient as we want it. Okay, now I think I'm gonna add a color ramp also here for the noise texture. So I'm gonna duplicate these two nodes with Shift D and connect this mapping node to the noise texture and also add a new color ramp here, like this. And if you have Node Wrangler enabled, in case you don't have it, you can just go here in Edit, Preferences, Node Wrangler, okay, and enable it. And once you have it enabled, you can just select one node and press Shift, Control, and left mouse button. And you can see that actual node and how it's working. And you see that we can reduce a little our specularity texture, and I think I'm gonna also choose B-spline to make it less to make it more soft. Okay, and also change this value here and this roughness here. And I think I'm gonna lower these two. Maybe choose something less dark. Okay, something like this. Okay, perfect. So, a color ramp for the base color. And the noise texture with a color ramp for the specularity. Okay, now the last final touch is a spring of current here hanging from the glass. So I think I'm gonna use a cure for this, a pot, yes. Now that you shaped it correctly, you can just go here in the Object Data Properties, Geometry, and increase the depth. Maybe too much. Okay. And we can assign a brown material already. Too thick. Okay, and now we can just place some berries all around here. So as always, we can just create a UV sphere. Choose Shade Smooth. And add a red color, obviously with very low roughness and maybe some subsurface with a yellow color. Yeah. And also we can select these faces up here and create a new material, because this kind of fruit has this, you know, darker part here on the top. Okay, And now we can just scale it and place it all around. Okay, let's have a look at it rendered. Perfect. I think it looks really cool, and I really love the glass material. I think it works really good in EEVEE for this cocktail. And that's it. I showed you how to create any kind of cocktail in Blender. And if you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel because it helps me going on with this project. And yeah, if you have any questions, please ask me in the comment section. And also if you want to suggest new tutorials. And if you recreate this cocktail, please tag me because I love to see your creation and to share them to my pages. So we're gonna see each other again in the next tutorial next week. Bye!